Hi everybody and welcome to Fantasy Golf Picks. My name is Sophie Walker and this is Kit Alexander.
Hello.
You're so happy. It's Masters Week. You need to be really happy. It's our first major on this European Tour Fantasy race to Dubai. It's a big one, isn't it? I am excited.
I've painted my wall green just in honour of it. Yeah, no, Buzz, it will be a really good Masters. You got the plants out. There's probably some azaleas just off camera as well. Yeah, I mean, the Masters is just around the corner as we record this. Now the sun is shining outside. Golf is back open again in England. It has been in Scotland anyway. I think Wales and Northern Ireland as well, all coming very soon. So there's a lot to be happy about in the golfing world, not least the Masters.
Yeah, it's my favourite event to watch. I think just because it's at night over here, isn't it? So we can just sit down at like tea time and watch it all the way through. I mean, the Open's great, but I almost want to be on the golf course in the day and then watching golf at night. So that's what I love about the Masters. But first of all, we're just going to go over the WGC Dell match play. When I say brush over, we probably should, because our teams were awful. I only got one player through my group stages, Jon Rahm. What about you?
Oh, exactly the same, just Jon Rahm. He was my captain, so I can take a tiny bit of solace from that and the fact that, you know what, looking at the stats, most other people had the same problems we did where, you know, a lot of the big names that we went for just didn't get out of the groups. You know, only one top seed of the 16 got through, and that was Jon Rahm. And then he didn't make it to the real latter stages. So, yeah, if you had the bravery and the gumption to go with some of those more outside picks who got further, then fair play to you.
Yeah, the last four were outside the top 30 in the world, which is incredible. Team Rom, he had Billy Horschel as captain. There was a handful of people that had Billy Horschel as captain. Now, that was inspired. I mentioned on our video, an outsider, look out for Billy Horschel. I would never put him in my six. I might have had a cheeky each way on him, you know, £2 each way, because he's got a good match play record. And I mean, he's annoying to play against, as we saw over the weekend. But it just shows, doesn't it, that match play, anything can happen.
Yeah, so volatile over 18 holes. It's a sprint. The margins at the top of the game are so narrow. You know, it's not like in tennis or sports like that, where the top dogs come out 99 times out of 100 in a head-to-head match. That just doesn't happen in golf. I saw it, and it's one of the things that makes match play so fantastic, and the Ryder Cup and team events like that. But on the flip side, when it comes to trying to predict it, it evidently makes it quite difficult unless you were one of those golfing Nostradamuses who had Billy Horschel as captain and Victor Perez in your team.
Yeah, I mean, you were right on your Bryson and Tony Finau. You said straight off, no chance, and you were correct.
Yeah, didn't fancy them, and, you know, that pretty much held up. So pleased in that regard, I guess. There was hopefully some nuggets of information that were worthwhile taken from it. But again, it's so difficult to predict. But, you know, DeChambeau's an interesting one. And he will be as well when we get on to talking about the Masters actually a little bit later. Another week where I'm weighing up so many things when it comes to Bryson. I was right in the match play. It's going to be tougher for the Masters, I think.
Yeah, let's move on to the Masters. So we're still picking six. We're still captain. It's the same format. But normally when we do we're picking, we look at course history. You know, I think in Kenya it had been there a couple of times. Abu Dhabi had been there a few times. The Masters has been there since 1930 something. So there's plenty of stats to go on. It's the only men's major that goes back to the same venue every year. The field is small as well, isn't it? It's like half the size of an open field. So there's lots of ways that you can pick your Masters team, I suppose. So, but first of all, I just want to ask you like a few little nuggets about the Masters. First of all, have you ever been?
I went in 2011 when Charles Schwartzel won, was the one time I've been. What about you?
Yeah, I went when P. Reid won, and then I took my dad the following year when Tiger won. So that was
Oh, wow.
unbelievable.
What a week that must have been, with your dad and
Yeah,
Tiger winning his 15th
yeah,
major.
it was. Like my dad's in his 70s, and we've been talking about this for ages because that's me and my dad watched the Masters, and my first Masters I remember was Nick Faldo. He was a massive Faldo and Greg Norman fan. In fact, both of them, which was a bit strange. Anyway, so we finally kind of got him there. And the funniest thing was he like rocks up and we go to get a bit of food and a drink. We get our chair, put our chair down, get our food and drink. And he goes, $5 for a beer. He was so excited, but we had to calm him down because he's about 9 stone wet through. I was thinking if he has 4 pints, he's not seeing any of the golf. So yeah, we had Saturday, Sunday there. On the Saturday, we walked like the entire course, walked our legs off. And then on the Sunday, we just kind of positioned a chair. But yeah, it's something that we can talk about really forever. So that's really special. I would encourage anybody to go. It seems reasonably expensive for a few days, but I describe it as Disney World for adults.
100%. And actually, once you get in there, like you say, it is quite cheap. Like the food's cheap, the beers and the drinks are cheap. Once you're there, it's okay. And it is well worth going. You know, all those cliches of it's so much more hilly and undulating when you see on TV. Absolutely true. I mean, that 10th hole drops off like a cliff. You wouldn't believe it. There isn't anything out of place. I've never seen a golf course so well manicured in my life. The colours are just so vivid, the green, the white, the blue of the water, the yellow of the flags. It is, as you quite rightly say, it's Disney World for adults and for golf enthusiasts. And if you do get the chance to go there, eat just once, do it. You won't regret it. It'll be something you can talk about and remember for the rest of your life as a golf fan. So absolutely jump on it if you get the chance.
So what was your favourite Masters?
It's a funny one, that, because I would say 2011 just because I was there. I mean, Charles Schwartzel, not perhaps the flashiest of winners, but he finished strong, birdied the last 4 holes. You know, I was there by 18 watching all the final groups come through. It was absolutely brilliant, saw some amazing stuff, what an experience, going to the par 3 tournament, seeing some legends up close around there. So I've got to say 2011 just because I was there, really. When it comes to sort of favourite winners or favourite ones I've watched on TV, I actually quite liked watching Bubba Watson win his couple. There's something I really like about Bubba, the way he plays the game, his attitude. I think he perhaps gets a little bit of an unfair rep publicly for being perhaps a little awkward socially and stuff. But whenever I've done anything with him sort of one-on-one and in small groups, which I've been fortunate to on a couple of occasions, he has been absolutely brilliant. I love his old school approach to the game, the way he plays it, and the shot he hit out of the trees to beat Oosthuizen in that playoff down 10. There's no one else on the planet that would take that on in the modern game, let alone be able to hit it. So I've got a little bit of a soft spot for Bubba and that win against Louis.
Yeah,
what about you? What's your favourite?
When I went there, actually, one of the first things I did was just head straight for the back 9 and walk to the spot where Bubba hit his hooked wedge. And there was nobody on the back 9. That the leaders were actually maybe on about 12 or 13, but there was still, I would say, 15 of us just randomly stood there, like looking at it, trying to think how you play that shot. It was a 90-degree angle, absolutely. So my favourite one for me was Tiger's first win, because that I was a young, like a teenager, was I barely a teenager? So that really inspired me, watching him do that. And I think most people of my age group, and actually even before me now, that they're inspired by Tiger. So that was the one that really captured me. I remember buying the Titleist bag that he had, the black and white bag. I got his shoes. I even got one of those awful turtlenecks at one point, which just wasn't a good look. But yeah, that was pretty special for me. And you know what? Watching Danny Willett win, I think that was inspiring, because you know, an English golfer going out there, and I remember him walking to that 16th tee, and it was really like he just hit the most beautiful shot into 16 and had an outrageous up and down on 17. And, and you just think, you might only get one chance at this. Some people never win a major, like Lee Westwood, still a fantastic player, but he got one chance. Spieth gave him a look and he took it. And I thought, yeah, good on you, Danny. Talk about change your life. That does change your life. Absolutely.
100%. He was brilliant. Weirdly, the first tournament, any golf tournament I remember watching on television, and specifically remember, was when Mike Weir beat Len Matisse in a playoff at the Masters. For whatever reason, that's the first golf tournament I remember watching in my life. So yeah, and that's the great thing about the Masters. And that's why when it comes to doing something like this and picking, we've all got so many memories. We all know the course inside out, the winners, what it took. We know what it suits. There's no tournament that you should be more informed for than the Masters. In theory, all of the information's there. The volatility that we had last week, we're at the other end of the spectrum, because in theory, we know everything there is to know about Augusta and how it's going to play, the players that are involved. So it should be easy this week, really, picking our teams.
Yeah, it should. But first of all, I'm going to bring another guest in, just because we had Iona Stephen and she picked the winner in Justin Harding. And obviously me and you had a bit of a tough week last week. So I'm going to bring in another guest who, to be fair, probably made it into everybody's fantasy football team for the best part of 15 years. Absolutely loves playing golf and sits and watches golf at every opportunity. So I'd like to introduce Paul Scholes. Here he is, Paul Scholes. So it was very nice that international break fell when golf courses reopened, wasn't it?
Absolutely perfect, Sophia. The only trouble was schools have broke up. But no, yeah, it's been nice. I've not had to go and do any work with United, which is good. As you say, nice international break. So courses were open Monday morning, and we were there at 9:20. I think we booked on, and I'd never seen a golf course so busy in my life.
Really? How was it going back on that first tee?
It was great. It's something we've missed for months now, and after saying that, I probably don't, as you know, Sophie, I don't play in the winter that often anyway. It's got to be a certain temperature, and it was a little bit chilly actually. It was a little bit windy as well. I don't know if you must have played somewhere. It's really windy, but no, it's just great to be there, seeing people you've not seen for a while as well, all the other members, and yeah, we had a good round. Really enjoyed it.
So, Sophie's your coach, right, Paul? So how's your game at the moment?
Well, the first day I played, it was all right actually. I said to Sophie, I didn't lose a ball, but I didn't make a birdie as well, which is not great. But no, yeah, I played all right. We've been doing a lot of chipping and putting the last few weeks. That side of my game, touch wood, seems to have improved. I've improved a little bit over the last couple of days. Just need to get back into the swing of things, don't we? It's going to take a little bit of time after today's performance, but I'm sure we'll get there.
What are you playing off now, Paul? I should know this, shouldn't I?
Yeah, you should do, yeah, coach. I don't know. Do you want the new one or the old one or what my course one is? I'm all over the place. You have to look at the board, don't you? It's 4.9 with the new one, but it's 6 at the course of play at Upwood. So wherever it'll be anywhere else, who knows?
Yeah. So out
4.9, that's wrong.
Yeah, he's a baller. And do you know what? He doesn't think he is. He's like, oh, I'm all right. It's standard Scholesy, but he gives it a good smack, don't you?
I try to, so yeah, I just like football. Even if I played well, I'd find something wrong with it.
It's probably why you got where you did, to be fair. Most elite athletes are pretty hard on themselves. You obviously love playing. Do you enjoy watching golf as much? And how excited are you for the Masters?
I probably prefer watching, to be honest with you. It frustrates me a bit playing. But yeah, really excited for the Masters, of course, yeah. I've been lucky enough to play with the 3 or 4 pros that I went with at the PGA Pro-Am, which has been a brilliant experience, really, to see how they hit a ball, especially Rory. I played with Rory twice, and just talking yesterday, actually, it's just the sound of the ball makes. It's like it's like a shotgun sound. It's incredible, really, the power in him and the accuracy, of course, as well. And obviously play with Ryder Cup legends in Poulter and Paul and Luke Donald, which was, again, great experience. Just playing with professional players, watching the way they go around the courses, it's great to see and great to be a part of.
When you're on that first tee at Wentworth in that Pro-Am, there's a lot of fans, isn't there? I mean, everyone goes to Wentworth to watch Rory, and you had to play with him.
Yeah, I know. I thought that the first year. Actually, I was never going to do it, but Phil Neville taught me into it. He'd done it the year before, I think. And he said, it's dead easy because all the crowd are there. It's a nice gap for you to aim into. The ball sits up nicely on the fairway. And when I got there, do you know what? Every time I think I played there the last 4 years, and every time I'm on the first tee, I'm shaking, putting my ball on the tee, and I'm saying to myself, I'm never coming back here again. The only way I'm coming back here is to watch, because it's horrible. Especially with, as you say, playing with Rory. There's 10,000, 8,000 people just following Rory, watching Rory. I'm looking through the fairways. There's other people playing. There's nobody watching them. I think that'll be all right. That'll be great. But no, we played with Rory twice, and you have to expect it, don't you? And it's brilliant, as I say. It's nerve-wracking, but it's absolutely brilliant to watch him. And these are players you admire and you love watching on TV, and just to be there next to him, speaking to him, and watching the way they do it is brilliant.
What do you think of Rory's chances at Augusta this year? Still searching for that Grand Slam?
Yeah, he's not. Well, golf's funny, innit? You can not play too good for a while, and all of a sudden you can just click one day, and it all comes together. I'm hoping that will happen for Rory this time. It was the only reason really that I used to watch American golf. Not just Rory, but Tiger as well. When them two were playing, if them two aren't playing, I feel like it's been a little bit of a letdown. They're so entertaining, so great to watch, to bring the crowds in. And he's not having a great time, is he? He'd probably admit that himself, but you just know at any point his form can turn around, his confidence can come back, and he is capable of winning. Do I think he will this time? You can't have much confidence with the way he's gone, but fingers crossed he'll do well.
Yeah, it's a tough one with Rory because his standards are so high. Like when you were at United, if you didn't win the league, that was seen as a real big failure, and that's where you see Rory, isn't it? A top 10 is just not good enough for him. Yeah, and he's changed coaches, all that type of thing. Now in football, if you change a coach, sometimes you get a good result at the end of it, don't you? Not that you played for many different coaches, but it's an interesting one that. So last couple of weeks ago, we had Iona Stephen on, and she picked the winner of the Kenyan Open. So we're 1 for 1 for guest, Paul. I've got you on here because if anybody knows,
pressure, man.
But anyone knows how to win a league. I mean, fantasy team is all about a league. You're the best person I know to win leagues. So I'm going with you. Who are you going to pick for the Masters this week, next week?
How many picks am I allowed? I'm a little bit undecided between two of them. And I've got an outsider as well. The two of them are Justin Thomas and Jon Rahm.
Good pick.
Justin Thomas. They've both done really well there, haven't they, the last few years? I know they haven't won, but they've been up there, top 10s. Justin Thomas has been brilliant. The only thing with Jon Rahm, he's not been great, has he? He's not been brilliant. I think that's probably that. It's changed his equipment, so I don't really like choosing somebody who has changed his equipment. Did we have a conversation about somebody with that Sophie and they went and won? Do you remember?
Yeah. We were talking about golf balls.
I remember who it was it?
Yeah, we were saying about you can change your kit, but when you change your golf balls. Remember we were talking about like when you played, was it Champions League?
Yeah.
Like the ball, did you?
Yeah, I did like the Champions League ball, yeah. But no, he hasn't been great, Jon Rahm, has he? But I just feel at some point he is going to click. And I think he likes it there as well.
He's sort of simmering nicely, ready to explode.
I hope so, yeah. I like his temper as well. It's nice to watch that sometimes, isn't it? A bit like Tyrrell Hatton as well. I love watching him.
Yeah.
Oh, the way he talks to his ball and he's shouting, it's brilliant to watch. I know the commentators have a go at him a little bit, don't they? But I love it. Keep that coming. A bit of anger, there's nothing wrong with that. Justin Thomas is just a great player, isn't he? Done really well this year again. And my outsider, Sophie, you want my outsider?
Yeah, please.
Matthew Fitzpatrick. 50-1 I've just seen he is. I just like him. He's a good lad, an English lad, Yorkshire lad. Really good player. He's a great putter as well, isn't he? So I think around Augusta especially, you've got to be a special putter, and fingers crossed he can do well. Do you know what? I like all the English when we think of Paul Casey. He seems to play well there. Can he go on and win this? I don't know. Lee Westwood. How good's Lee Westwood been lately? Probably as well as he's ever played. As well as he's ever played, I would have thought. And he seems to be one of them people. He's always seems to be up there on the leaderboard at the Masters as well. The first 2 or 3 rounds, and I think he has been close on the odd occasion. So I'd love people like that to win it. Just got a feeling I'd probably edge more for Justin Thomas and John Rahm.
Sure.
That's
yeah, Wesley's got a sneaky good Masters record for someone who's sort of traditionally had a bit of a shaky short game and putting over the years. He's actually always done really well at Augusta National. And I think if I was picking anyone with my heart who I would want to win and I'd love to see slipping into a green jacket on the Sunday evening, I think most Brits would love to see Lee Westwood crown his career with that major.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Have you been to the Masters, Paul?
Have I what?
Have you been to the Masters? Yeah.
No, I haven't. No, I will go at some point, but no, I've not been yet.
I suppose it's always the season, isn't it? In April, you never get to get the opportunity.
Yeah, well, do you know what? The last 6 or 7 years I've been in Thailand. If I wanted to go, I could make the time to go. If you know what I mean, it's not. It's something I need to do. It's something I like to, as well as the Ryder Cup as well. I really want to go. We're thinking of actually going this year to Chicago if we're allowed to travel. So fingers crossed we can get there.
Ryder Cup is sensational. You should move heaven and earth to go to that because it's the nearest you'll get to a football atmosphere. You get the fans and chanting and people pick sides. It's just sensational, the atmosphere.
Yeah, I definitely need to give it a go. I've never really been to many professional golf tournaments. In fact, the only one I'll say, I went to Birkdale, was that 2 or 3 years ago for the Friday of the Open. But other than that, I've not really been to anything.
Don't like to go far, do you?
No, homeboy. I'm a homeboy.
So, what's your Thursday through to Sunday looking at Masters? How do you watch the Masters? Do you like to play golf in the day, sit down and watch it at night? What's your routine?
I like to watch it as soon as it comes on, if I can do. I would just sit in front of the telly, the featured groups. What time's that? About 12 o'clock or something. I'll watch that right through to the main coverage comes on. Unfortunately, next week United are playing on a Thursday, which is a big disappointment. Saying that, I can get it on in the studio actually instead of watch it. I'll keep an eye on the game, but I'll also get my phone and watch a little bit of the Masters. But I'm travelling down to London. I'll be able to watch it on my iPad on the way down there, watch it on the way back. The Friday, the Saturday will just be the Masters all day. I'll probably play on the Friday actually. Play on the Friday morning. Might play on the Saturday morning as well. Get out early so I'm back in time, and then look forward to Sunday, the big finale on Sunday.
Yes, sounds good. That is exactly what me and Kit will be doing. Well, thanks very much, Scholes. Thanks for coming on. Good tips there.
No.
You obviously have done your research, and it would be nice to any one of those three. I would be delighted with. They all seem like nice guys, and it'd be good for John Rahm to get his first major, or Matt Fitzpatrick. That's for sure.
Yep, we'll see. Fingers crossed. Cheers, Soph. Cheers. Thank you.
He certainly loves his golf, doesn't he, Kit?
He does. You can tell he's absolutely mad for it. I just wonder if he changes his fantasy golf captain quite as often as they change manager at Salford City, though.
Yeah, you didn't ask him that, did you?
I wasn't quite that brave. Wasn't going to put that out there.
Right, so let's talk about the process of trying to pick our 6. trying to get the Masters champion, the green jacket, in that 6. How are you going about it?
See, I love this. And one of the things is out there at the moment, if you follow sort of the tipsters and the betting guys, or you get any of the magazines, they all do these kind of eliminator things, or they try and highlight which stats or what trends are going to highlight the golfers. And I kind of do that myself to an extent on this. And there are certain things that shine through that have to be true, really, for a Masters champion in the modern era. You know, they have got to be a top player. You don't see many surprises. You look back the last 10 or 15 years, arguably the biggest surprise in inverted commas has been Danny Willett, and he'd won in Dubai earlier that year. He'd finished top 6 in a major within 18 months previous, so hardly a real surprise. So you've got to be an established player. You've got to be playing well. So often they've had a win already in the year somewhere in the world. If not, they've certainly been challenging. And then you dig down into the statistics as well. And there are certain key things that you can look for. And I've just got a few written down here. I mean, par 5 scoring average, as we know, is important. You really have to make your score on the par 5s. But also it's key, have a little look at par 4 scoring average, because you make your score on the par 5s, but you often lose it on the par 4s. So you need someone that's going to be able to play well on the par 4s. And I think if you look at the previous 6 or 7 winners, the strongest correlation in terms of what stat they've all been ranked highly in is par 4 scoring for that year or the previous season. I think every winner from the last 7 has been in top 10 for par 4 scoring, either the previous full season or already that season heading into Augusta. So that's a really strong indicator. For me, I also like to have a little look at greens in regulation and strokes gained approach. One thing about Augusta National, it is a second shot golf course primarily. You've got to get yourself in position off the tee, but that's all about setting up the angles, the shots, and short enough clubs essentially to really be able to attack the pin positions and get it into the specific part of the greens. We know how undulating it is. We know how slopey and speedy the greens are. Get yourself out of position and you've got a devil's own job to save your par. So again, also things like bogey avoidance are key for me here as well. Distance to an extent, it certainly doesn't hurt. Even though on the card, it's not a massively long golf course, all the fairways mown backwards into you, so it plays really long as well. Of course, the more loft you can have in your hands going into those greens, the better, and scrambling as well. So, I mean, that's a lot of stats I've chucked out there, but essentially all of that has gone into the players I'm going to highlight. Pretty much all of them tick the box in all of those categories. And then my kind of outsiders maybe miss 1 or 2 of those boxes, but you think actually there's enough there that it makes me think they've got a chance this week, and the odds that they might be, or if you're looking for that Billy Horschel, Victor Perez pick this week at the Masters, they might be that person. So there's loads gone into this for me, and I love it. And I've properly geeked out on, I've got numbers written down here, stats from various stats categories, last year and this year players, their ranks on tour. It's insane, a notepad full of it. So I've done a little bit of research. What's been your approach?
Okay, my approach is experience, as in you need to have played it. So we all know it, but we haven't played it. So when I imagine when you get that invitation through the post, you are so excited. And when I speak to anybody that's played in the Masters, the first thing they do is want to qualify again. It's like, I need another go at that. Fuzzy Zeller, only guy to have won it on his first appearance. So we understand that, but there's a little correlation on if you've played it, if your 6th appearance to your 12th appearance, that is the key time where you start learning about the golf course. So Dustin Johnson last year, I think he won on his 9th appearance. I do appreciate without fans, we are seeing a few more surprise, or a couple of, Colin Morikawa, I think, won a major earlier than we thought. But just bear that in mind. And that is because, like you said, about needing to know the golf course. There's certain parts at Augusta National, you can just not hit it. So I remember watching Tiger Woods played with Fred Couples, practice round, first hole. Fred's hit it into the bank on the fairway. Bless him, he's got hybrid in hand. And he pops it 35 feet short of the pin. Tiger's up on top, hits it straight at the flag over the back. And you just heard him say to Freddie, you just don't want to be here. You just can't be here. So, you can't be long on one. Like tee shot on 13, it's got to be like, it's such a hard tee shot because it all cambers right to left and you've got to hit it right to left. There's just, as I say, 9, you can't be long of the pin on 9. All these things that we kind of know, but until you play it, you don't really know. So I'm looking at a bit of experience. Strokes gained is a huge stat for me. And like you say, approach. So strokes gained tee to green. We all think, oh, you've got to be a wonderful putter and have got to have an imagination around Augusta. Yes, it certainly helps, but if you can't get it in the right position on that green, so not only are you standing on a tee thinking I need to hit it left or right half, you're then standing for your approach shot thinking I've got to land it in a certain portion of the green. So people that gain on the field in that category, if you can get them putting well, then absolutely that's a bonus. And like you said, form. Course form is nice by all accounts. I don't think anybody's won it having missed the cut the year before. I think like in the last 10 years or something. So a cut at the Masters helps, but somebody playing well, Florida swing is key to this. Looking at the people that have done well, and stroke average sounds obvious. The person that shoots the lowest score wins, but Augusta finds you out. It's every aspect of your game. I wouldn't want to come to Augusta trying to find my game, which leads me on to a few players there. So whenever we talk about R6, we always go, Rory's in it. We never think twice. Rory's in R6. How are you feeling about Rory at the moment, Kit?
Well, I've got 3 definites and Rory is one of them. Now, similar to the discussion we had about Finau a few weeks ago, where I'm picking him, I don't think he'll win. I do think he's got a better than very good chance of finishing top 10. I mean, he's been top 10, 7 of the last 8 or 6 of the last 7, I think. Let me just double check on my notes. Yeah, so 6 of the last 7 Masters, Rory has finished top 10. He's probably only really contended or had a chance to win in a couple of them. Really, Patrick Reed, when he won, springs to mind. I think there was another one a little bit further back. But so I don't think he's got the form to win. The statistical categories I mentioned, he's not doing as well this season in as he did last season. But Augusta is a place, and the occasion of it, you can rock up. You can, if you know that course, like Phil Mickelson for about 20 years, you'd always stick him in your fantasy team for the Masters because he just loved the place and he churned out the top 10s. I think McIlroy's a very good chance for a backdoor top 10. Again, that's the kind of thing he's done at Augusta. And I would take that, frankly, because, if all 6 of my guys finish top 20 and one of them wins, you're happy days, aren't you? So McIlroy's in there for me purely because his course form's fantastic. Even though he hasn't been on the best form this year, he's had a number of top 10s. I think he'll probably finish top 10, but without really contending. Yeah, where do you stand?
Augusta is one of those courses that you can get quite good stats on in that sense. So somebody like Jordan Spieth and Phil Mickelson, they perform better than their average at Augusta. So for the rest of the season, they perform a bit better. And somebody like Tyrrell Hatton doesn't. He actually performs a bit worse around that track. So Rory will be in. I never don't put him in, but I'm with you. Do I think he's going to win it? And I hate to say that, but maybe not. The one thing that gave me a little bit of hope was I saw an Instagram post with him, Thomas Bjorn, Lee Westwood, and I can't think who the other one was. And I was like,
Shane Lowry.
Shane Lowry. Those 3 around him, they're exactly who I need around Rory McIlroy right now. So Rory was playing his best stuff when he was young and with ISM. So Westwood was his ISM at the same time. Bjorn is very honest with him about his wedge game. He's always said it. The reason you're good at driving the ball is exactly the same reason I'm good at pitching the ball and vice versa. So I think he'll get in his ear He'll give him a little bit of a pep talk, which seems ridiculous. I mean, he's one of the best players in the world, but Rory does need that, doesn't he? I think it is a bit of a confidence thing with him. So even though we go on about all these stats, Rory kind of books that, and I think it's a little bit Jordan Spieth-like. I think if we could have Spieth, we'd do the same with him. So I get that. So Rory's in. Who's your other two?
So my other two definites, Justin Thomas and Jon Rahm, with the caveat on Jon Rahm that he could just up and leave if his wife goes into labour at any point during the week. He's already said, if you're thinking of having a bet on me for the Masters, maybe avoid it because she's due around that time. And he said he's gone, he's getting to that berth, whatever's going on in the tournament. That being said, he shapes up for this event so strongly. He said he loves the course. His stats look really good for it. He's had a good record there, top 10 the last 3 years. So I've got to put him in, even with that risk that he goes, unless, of course, we hear something Tuesday, Wednesday of Masters week before the deadline where it's looking increasingly likely, or he's already gone by that point. He's going in. Justin Thomas, yeah, he burnt me at the match play. I liked him there, but that group of death proved too much for him. But again, I've got to go with him. He's really high. Strokes gained approach this season. He's third. Last year for the full year, he was top. Par 5 scoring average this season, 17th. Last season for the full season, he was third. And second in par 4 scoring average, both last year and in the season so far to date this year. Everything statistically about Justin Thomas points towards him being a Masters champion at some point. And his trends in his 5 starts that he's made at Augusta, he's got progressively better and better. It was 4th in November. So guaranteed podium finish, surely, by that trend.
No, I totally agree. I just can't see Justin Thomas only ever winning one major. I just can't see it. And I quite like the way he's bounced back at the Players. He looks like somebody that handles pressure really well. And that, I know they all do, but the Masters is the one they all want, especially the Americans. I know a lot of the Brits say, I'd love to win the Open Championship. But the Masters is the creme de la creme. I get to come back here every single year. You get to go to the Champions Dinner. It means a lot. You saw that with Dustin Johnson when he won. It means a lot. I would agree with those. But I think the next 3, you can really start mixing it up a bit. So I'm going Patrick Cantlay, which I don't think is a particularly a big mix-up. The last handful of Masters champion other than DJ, they've all been around that 18-1 odds, which Cantlay is. A lot of people have the Masters as their first major. So Cantlay is not won yet. He actually nearly broke my heart and everyone else's heart when Tiger won a couple of years ago. So he eagled 15 and went to joint leader of the Masters. Yeah. So he's led the Masters after 69 holes. And then he had a couple of bogeys. But looking at a few of his stats, he really fits the mold here. Let's have a quick look. He's top 10 strokes gained tee to green this year. Strokes gained around the green, he's positive, which is good. Birdie average of 4.68 birdies round. Stroke average of 69. So it suits him, I think, Augusta. Swings, I really like Patrick Cantlay's swing. So for me, as soon as actually I saw him available as a member of the European Tour for fantasy, in the big events, it's like, yeah, absolutely, in you go. So also, lowest stroke average for first round. And we all like a first round leader at the Masters, don't we? So his PGA Tour average is 68.1
really?
First round. Yeah.
He likes a fast start. We're seeing more and more at majors in recent years that you need a fast start. You're not coming from far back to win it. And that's perhaps what's been hurting Rory a lot, is that he's given himself too much to do going into a weekend. Cantlay's the other way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. If Rory hadn't have had those shocking first rounds, he'd have been contending. So let's hope he can get off to a decent start. I think if he does, there's demons for Rory. We all know that. he must know it as well. It's very hard to do that. I'm not bothered. I don't care. Carefree attitude. And then you stand on that first tee, and I'm at the Masters. So right, yeah, I've got Cantlay. I'm gonna throw one in there, which I don't know if I'm thinking Sunjay Im.
Yep. No, he was one that made my sort of short list. I'm not going to go for him in my 6. I don't know that his form's been quite strong enough.
The only thing
he's been
well,
very solid this year, but he hasn't had that big result or those couple of big results. So, but again, when you look at the stats, you know, he ticks a lot of the boxes of the trends you're looking for from a Masters win.
Yeah, I mean, he's had 3 top 10s kind of this year. He's won the Honda Classic, which is round a Florida golf course. He came 2nd there last year, which is only November. We need to remember that it's only 6 months ago. So, and he's world number 18, very, very good. Yet, strokes gained, he's 28th position. He's not the best chipper. So if he does get out of position, you know, maybe, but tee to green, he's almost robot-like, isn't he? So that's somebody that, other than, like you say, there's a couple where he just doesn't quite fit, but everything else, he really does fit. Are you going with Casey? Because he's been a stalwart.
He's right there. So I've got, for my additional sort of 3 spots, I've pretty much narrowed it down to between Cantlay, I'm really liking. I think he'll be in my team.
Yeah.
Finau, Casey, and Bryson DeChambeau. Now, I want to talk about Bryson DeChambeau because why wouldn't you do it every week? You've got to talk about Bryson. But this is where Augusta adds that little different element in here. Now, everything about him sets up pretty well for this golf course. Statistically, obviously his length, the fact he won a major last year, the fact he's won already this year and been in good form. 2 things that make me doubt him slightly. One is his form at Augusta. Never had a top 20. His best finish actually came as a major when he qualified, as an amateur when he qualified for the majors as the US Am champion, tied 21st. Since then, 3 starts, no more top 20s, or no top 20s at all. And the other thing, and this might fall through the radar a little bit for people. Now, we all know Bryson DeChambeau is a very good putter and perhaps doesn't get the credit he deserves in that respect. But he leans heavily on a green reading book, and they are not allowed at Augusta National. And I'm just wondering if that trend of him not quite doing so well in the Masters, when he'll be in good form leading up to it, and it won't quite happen, then the good form will continue afterwards. Is that too much of a hurdle for him to overcome, not having a green reading book? He's so reliant on it as a crutch. Normally, if you take that away, does he have the ability that week to read greens, commit to lines and speeds without that there as his safety blanket, let alone doing it at a place with arguably the most difficult and treacherous greens on the planet, Augusta National? That for me is a huge question mark over him.
Yeah, you know, that's a really good point. That doesn't come up in stats, does it? You know, there is certain aspects that don't. And that's like saying to even an amateur golfer, right, okay, you're not allowed a practice swing before you hit a shot. You know, it's part of his routine. So that is a really, really good point about Bryson. I'm with you in the sense that you do need, he's too up and down, which is mental because he smashes it in every single stat. But for me, no, not so much. I don't think he controls his wedges well enough for around Augusta. So you've gone, I'm going Fitzpatrick in mine as well.
I love Fitzy's form and I like him as a player, and I think he will contend in majors. But for me, the Masters is the least likely one for him. Just looking at the way he plays the game, his stats, it's a low ball flight. He isn't short by any stretch of the imagination, but it is a lower ball flight. and you lose a lot of run because, as I mentioned earlier, those fairways are mown back into you. So you want a highish fly and coming into the greens as well. He's got those shots in the lockers if he needs them. It's just not as natural for him. He's a little bit in the same camp for me as someone like Hatton, who you mentioned earlier, who perhaps doesn't always perform quite as well as he does the rest of the year and in other majors at Augusta National. I'd be interested to hear what it is that's tipping you over the edge with Matt, why you're liking him.
I like the fact he's got Billy Foster on the bag. Billy has caddied in umpteen Masters Championships. So whereas we look at somebody like Lee Westwood, who is going to have a inexperienced Masters caddy on the bag, whoever he chooses, Helen or Sam.
I think it's his son. I think it's Sam on the bag.
Sam on the bag. Well, nicest possible way, Sam. Helen's got the record at the moment of doing well. So yeah, I like the fact that Billy's there. He missed his first cut at the Masters, and then he's made 4 out of 4. That's not meaning that it's any, like, the field's not. It's quite not easy to make the cut there at Masters. It's very hard to get in the Masters, but it's reasonably easy to make the cut. But I just like his form in America. I don't think he didn't have great form in Europe, but tied 5th at Genesis, 9th at the Players, 10th at Arnold Palmer. Solid golf courses, hard golf courses, in fact. And in every area of his game, he gains on the field. So you might say, yeah, his ball flight, it might be a bit low for Augusta as such, but he's good off the tee, he's good on the face. He's not losing, whereas obviously John Rahm smashes it in every area of the game, but then massively losing on putting. Sungjae Im, the same, 177th chipping. I just like the consistency of Fitzy, and at the moment with my fantasy team, I need that bit of consistency. So I'm almost feeling like Matt could be my, Al Bryson, I'm not quite sure. I feel like Matt might be like a banker of, I think he'll get a top 30.
He'll make the cut. He should sort of, just through being solid the week, finish top 30 on an average week. And if he does something good, then he can be upwardly mobile. Yeah, no, I get that. I get that.
So at the minute, it's the same 3 as yours. So it's John Rahm, Justin Thomas, Rory. Rahm will come out if need be. It's closer to the time.
Sure.
Then I am going to commit to Sungjae Im. I like him a lot. And then it's kind of Casey, Garcia, Louis Oosthuizen. So we spoke about Louis in last week's. Has had a really good, solid season and clearly has form in the past round Augusta, losing to Bubba in the playoff. So he had a group of death last week. I don't think you can read too much into that. No. So there are just a couple. I mean, have you got Paul Casey written down? Do you want to say a little bit about
why
you think Casey?
The only thing stopping him being a tick immediately is he's got a relatively poor record in par 4 scoring average. Everything else I like about him, his form's brilliant. He's playing with a bit of swagger. He's got more than enough length. He's a really good iron player. I'm liking. He probably will go in my team, in all honesty. There's a lot I'm liking about him. I'm just hesitating on pulling the trigger because of that par 4 scoring. The other 2 guys that we haven't, or 3 guys really that we haven't mentioned in detail that were sort of on my shortlist. Tony Finau. For me, he's playing Valero Texas Open, so we're recording this prior to that teeing off. So I might just hold fast, see if he regains the form. Obviously, he was electric early in the season, tailed off a little bit his last 2 or 3 starts. If he regains some form and he goes well again at the Valero Texas Open, there's every chance he'll get in. I think he's a great fit for Augusta National. Again, it's a pick like Rory, and always for me with Tony, I don't expect him to win, but I expect him to do well there, and I think he fits it nicely. And the other 2 really interesting ones, for me, Sergio Garcia and Patrick Reed, assessing them this week. There's a lot to love about what Garcia is doing at the moment. He looked really good in the match play. He looked relaxed and happy. He just looked really in a good place on the golf course, happier than I've seen him in years and years and years. His stats maybe aren't exactly what you would want for Augusta in the broadest terms, but hey, he's won there, so he's got a green jacket. He's missed the cut the two since then, which again is a little cause for concern, but I like where he seems to be mentally. And then Patrick Reed, one of the best short games on tour, if not the best, if he does get into trouble. He's got a green jacket as well. He's shown enough form this year. For me, Garcia and Reed, there was a lot to like about them. They maybe just won't quite make my final six.
Yeah.
What have you thought of them?
I've got Garcia and Reed kind of down here. And it's weird. I'd normally kind of go, well, we'll take Fitzy out and Sungjae in and we'll put them in. But yeah, I just don't like putting Reed in my team. You know, like I don't.
There is a large element of heart over head with that one, isn't there? Just I don't want to change him.
Just don't like. Honestly, when he won the green jacket in my first year I ever went, everything was like perfect. It's like, this is the best week ever. The Saturday, actually, I went on the Saturday. I didn't go on the Sunday. The Saturday afternoon was phenomenal. Like Rory made a charge. And then like Reed won. And I'm like, I've got to go to the Masters again.